Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine Saturday, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. We've been talking entertainment, we've been bringing you gist. Francis has been bringing you a lot of amebo of things happening in the lives of entertainers. I wasn't there, but you know, at this time, we like to bring you delectables in different industries out of the entertainment industry. And today, we've done it again, and I'm taking it as the reserved honor of doing this particular introduction because there are some veterans that we have in the industry that are rare to find, and this one has the voice of the gods. It's great to have Sir Bassey Esanetok on with us here on set this morning, and of course, he has a repertoire on what do we call it, stage play, and his voice. You will soon listen to it, but in a very country way of introducing for the first time live on Spectrum Television. Let's make welcome Sir Bassey Esanetok.
Thank you so very much.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Francis. And beautiful Uya.
Bassey's voice is one of those voices that, when you have like stage plays and you want someone to do the oration behind the stage, and then you're just hearing the rousing baritone. I sat in the audience for Uforiban, and then you're hearing the strength of the vocal work. I'm like, ooh, that man. So good to have you on this.
To the glory of God. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure again. Like
Great
I said.
pleasure. So how many years has it been in the industry?
If we go by the order, it should be about 3 decades and change. I mean, as with a play called King Emene by Professor, may her soul rest in peace, Zulu Sofola. It was a chance opportunity. We were having our local neighborhood, Ajegunle, kind of, because I was born and raised in Lagos, in Ajegunle. We were doing a community theater thing after high school. And a senior colleague in the arts who chanced to the theater, to the place, came to observe us rehearsing. And he was like, man, your voice is something else, and your actions.
Your voice was actually the opener for you into the industry.
Yes,
Amazing.
and I mean, I was completely ignorant of the fact that I had anything of a
voice
like that, until I started, in the theater professionally, so the rest now.
Is it what you studied in school eventually?
Yes, that's what I studied.
Study theater.
Finally, I mean, daddy and mommy had their own issues. Go and be a lawyer. I was looking at them like, now of the New Masquerade, Village Headmaster, where you had characters like Bassey, whom I accidentally met in real life, Jabadu, and then when I watched the New Masquerade, I watched their sizes. It was a court program in Benin, Edo State then, and then watched the Village Headmaster. I kind of would play with these characters. It just came now. My interest gravitated towards it. So my dad and I, we had quite an issue, deciding what a career should be, and I ended up finally, funny enough, because they didn't want me to go to a theater school, I chose to be a mechanic just to disappoint them the more.
Wow.
So I did mechanic for 4 months, and the man finally gave in. When he saw a TV commercial and he saw me on TV for some gigs, he was like, okay.
You can't go where you want to go. So has it always been stage plays for you first? Because there's like, contemporary behind the screens, then there is a stage play that is really...
As a trained actor, they're all comfortable grounds. Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable everywhere, but my beginning, inception, was stage.
Okay.
And I prefer stage a lot more because it's real, it's natural, it's not a ground for just any comer. That's why you see
it selects its actors.
The industry right now is an open structure, actually uncompleted structure. At the lintel level, there are no doors, there are no windows, so you have just anybody fly in there. Is people just show up and say, I'm a actor. Huh? What? Everybody, and producers, most of them are trained, directors, most of them are trained, so they just pack everybody in. Like we have this, I'll use an analogy that says it's because of the rain that you find the lion, the dogs, and the goats, and the pigs running to take shelter somewhere. So because this structure is not, hedged in properly, you have everybody in. But stage is not for all comers.
Now, let's talk about stage. And I know I've had a few personal done a lot in terms of stage performances. Would you say that makes one a better? Okay, let me take it from a different angle. There's this argument that being an actor on stage makes you the best of an actor on set.
I've heard that argument.
How true is that?
That's extremely true. If you're properly trained, that's very correct. Because one, the actor goes through a process. And this process you can only find when you have trained actors who work on stage. Because there's something called the research process. Most actors for TV don't research. All they do is cram lines, just pack the lines in, and then everybody just comes and spits it. The camera is right there. You can do it with your phone. And everyone is an actor before a camera. But if you have live audience in front of you and you don't have the emotions, because it's a transition of emotions, it's an undulating ground, you know, so you can't come flat in tone, in voice, in facial expressions, in body language, which you call paralanguage. You can't come flat, because if you come flat, that's when you find your audience playing on their phone, talking with people. So I mean, you get pure water there, you get popcorn there, which they do, you know, they're watching TV, they'll just get up and moving until you're done. And one mark of a good actor, and if you're trained from stage, once you open your mouth, the audience must wait until you're done. You know, so stage is it. You know, forget this stuff. You watch movies every day. You should be able to critique. You know.
Yeah, even speaking about criticism, it's not something that we're very big on in Nigeria. We do not have a lot of film critics. That's why, because sometimes I watch a lot of movies and I really love Nollywood movies, and I'm watching some scenes sometimes, I'm like, how did this escape into the movie? Even as a lay person, I don't have a lot of knowledge, but I'm like, the editor should have known better than for this scene to fly, or these kinds of things. You see a woman waking up early in the morning and she's fully clad with makeup. What's up with your natural beauty? Or play down on the makeup. I'm just using that as the smallest example. So let's delve a little bit into criticism for Film Day, where we are exporting our works to the rest of the world. But what's been the place of criticism in our movies, whether you're coming from the stage background or movies generally?
It's the same thing. Whether you're coming from stage or movie background, criticism is criticism, because the methods are the same, you know. But the thing is, we don't have enough people or persons who really want to follow, unlike the Western world. You know, before the movie shows up in the playground and the scene, you would have had people review it, critique it. That will now tell, you know, your audience whether to go see it or purchase it. You understand? But here, we used to, in time past, because, I mean, stations like NTA used to run programs where they dissect movies. So people, but you see, we don't really have that followers. We're not having followers. We're not having, you know, so to say, sponsorship, you know, and encouragement, so they backed off. You know, but in very little circles, which is not resonating, people are still critiquing, you know, but this critiquing is not getting out. But journalists, you know, media men should actually do that. Again, we don't have the culture of reading, be it on social media or had, you know, copies, newspapers to read about, you know, arts and entertainment, to hear what people say, the reviews before you now go look for them. It will be nice to talk about jobs before they show up. Personally, when I get to that point where I want to produce, that's something I must make sure it's the stands before you even see the movie, because that's where you build the interest of people to want to see your job.
Okay.
So this, you know, in the system, I know one question that has been on my mind to ask, where has your place been with regards to the big break? You know, when people are in the industry, we're saying, oh, the person has blown, the person is popular, they know the person everywhere. Is the name Bassey, Esanetok, you know, nationally known? So what's your place in the big break?
Oh, that is quite an interesting question. But you're taking me unawares. So let me see. As a matter of fact, I love what I'm doing. I love what I've done so far. And I love my pace. It might be a snail pace, it might be a turtle pace, but it's steady, it's consistent, and it's never had a bump. So if you check the records, I don't have any negative. I know one thing for a fact. If you bring the heavyweights and I'm there, you'll see that we weigh the same. Publicity, I mean, fame is not actually the biggest thing, because a lot of people, fame is their problem. Managing that thing called fame is a problem. So I think I'm happy with where I am, but I know I've got impact. If you bring the biggest players, we'll rank the same.
So it's worthy of note to say that differentiating the publicity and the fame is different from the impact someone has had in an industry.
Yeah, I got
whether they're popular
impact.
or not.
You know, I mean, I cut across. You know, I cut across in the Ibibio, in the Edo, in the Yoruba, in the Igbo, in the English. Oh no, to get money from a POS. Only for a lady to walk behind me, and the next thing was, "Good morning, Mr. Bassey." For yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
And she was like, "I am one of your fans. I'm married to an Isha man. I'm Igbo, but we watch you." Oh my God, how come you are Bassey and you do all this Edo thing? I said, that's the research part of the job.
Yeah.
The actor, before you go on, you don't have to. You're doing an Edo play. You have the hairstyle, you have the attire.
Just to give some background to some of the movies that you can find Bassey Esanetok in: Shadow Parties, Darling of the Gods. We also have Josephino. There's this other one we're trying to mention, Eden. That's like the Edo one.
Yes.
So we have like some of the movies playing. Let's give sound to this particular one.
This is Shadow Parties.
These Shadow Parties. So let's give voice to Shadow Parties, and then we'll get right back into the conversation with him.
Of the same language fighting each other. A condition that my offspring and I are regarded as a ruin. That is what I said. You people that you stop us, you came and you took our life.
I had a family that I loved so much. I lost all of them.
What is going on?
Starts Ajay and Iludo.
Our unity is non-negotiable.
Bad time though.
That's why you went to that stupid nonsense town, Iludu, to get married.
Leave me alone.
Baba, who are these? Ajay warriors. Baba, Baba, yeah! Baba, yeah!
Of course, that movie is available on Netflix. So Netflix watchers, Shadow Parties is something you want to look at for the weekend. I just gave you a movie for the weekend. Thank you. Yeah.
But here's another conversation. Let's come back home. My first encounter with you was on a movie set. I hope I can recall vividly. That was To Love Again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my first encounter with you in person. And I recall that movie said you played side by side with the likes of Kepi Ekpenyong, the likes of actors that we have. Let's come home. How would you rate the Akwa movie industry?
Again, another great question. The Akwa Ibom movie industry is actually growing. Let me run away from the word evolving. Since you got it's growing. But you see, there's always a teething problem with any growth. Even if it's a plant, you still have shrubs around it, which you have to go take care of. So we have our own challenges. And our own challenges stems from most of our producers are not properly trained. Secondly, we're not mindful of where our jobs, the extent our jobs should go. Thirdly, there's terrible bias, amongst the different ethnic dialects. Recognize those who have paid their dues, who reside here. It won't take me anything to go back to Lagos or Abuja. And as a matter of fact, in 12 months, if I'm in Lagos, I know the impact will be stronger. But I chose to come back here to also add and assist to build the industry. But this stuff, if you don't have it, down padded yet, you will have challenges. People who have taken a back seat. So it's all you have to do now is build properly. And what you build, you now bring it to the table with a dream of training people with the positive mindset to forget tribal lines or ethnicity lines and come out and do a good job. So the industry is growing. The issue of equity, we would ignore our own and bring our own to play supporting roles. Meanwhile, if you check, the standard of your own is stronger and better than this person you are bringing. You want to talk about influence or influencers? Why don't you push your own so they can also be influencers? Should we always be second fiddles to these people? And then you pay something close to nothing. Some of these people, you fly them in. But if I say I'm coming from Oron, you put your nose somewhere, man.
Okay, so now these are conversations we've had recently, and these are conversations we are currently pushing. I know you must have, you're part of the iCreative, I'm sure.
Yes.
With the likes of
Daniel, Chris
Daniel,
Kevye.
Dan Krizebier,
Yes.
and Kepi Ekpeyong and the
Yes.
rest of that. These are the kinds of conversations that we need to have, because over time we've seen the acquisition going to the government quarters. We've seen also going to the producers, and now we cannot see how long this has affected us. I mean, from the musicians to the actors and all of that. So at this point in time, we are looking at an incoming administration that is yet to even, set the ground rolling. How would you advise this new set of leaders, particularly as far as the creative industry is concerned, knowing how much is waiting to be tapped? And at a time when...
Let me say this before it skips me. The arts never goes to government. Government should come to the arts, because the arts is a vehicle that drives their ideas and markets the art. As a matter of fact, a volatile vehicle for that matter. But because this thing called greed and sycophancy, we want to always run to once we have a small outlet or connection, and we now CC around them. That's why they cheapen us. They use us, they dump us. Once they give you one small car or give you 3 million, and then you say, you guys go and share that, and then you see somebody say, I want to take 2 million because I'm the one that connected the man. Then they look at us as, vagrants, actually. Just sprinkle some peanuts and you see them fight and kill themselves. The arts should never go to government. They should come and see how the arts can help them sell their ideas and turn the minds around. Personally, I would have thought that, I'll give you an example. When this election brouhaha was going on, I was thinking of a project called UYMM, peace offering. If they had bought that idea, all we would have done was go around the local government and say, look, let's select the best idea, the best person. Let it not be this further issue of be a counselor. I said no. Then somebody brought a lady and some men wanted to fight over it. So I walked in there and I said, look, can we all put our manifestos down? Let the best win and the rest of you support. They agreed. And there's peace in that village. If we can do that, pride in saying this should be the Florida in America, here in Africa. Because if we put the monies down, this whole state will be lit up. There'll be roads and we'll be happy. What are we looking for? So the government of the day, if they know what is good for them, they should come to the arts, let the arts market their ideas, and let them also pay handsomely too. Because we also go to markets, we have families, we pay bills and all of that.
Okay, now just talking about, whether or not this administration, the incoming administration, will prioritize. I think on Sunday I was at the event, what was that event title again?
The fashion festival?
No, not the fashion festival.
Okay.
An event organized by a fair rep to celebrate
about protecting women and all of that.
Yes, it's about protecting women. And I got to have a conversation with one of the research persons that was brought in from, she came in from Lagos. And then I got to find out one of the daughters of the incoming governor is actually somebody in the arts. She's an actress.
Of course.
And then I was like, okay, we've not had that kind of scenario play out before. So maybe because he has stories, we have the environments. Do you think we have done enough to push forward our own kind of stories?
Well, we really haven't done enough to push forward our own kind of stories. We are more concerned with contemporary and what do you call it? Well, let's leave it at contemporary. Anything that appeals to the modern day society. We want to sound like America. We want to look like America. Meanwhile, we don't know the local airport. We want to dress like America. Meanwhile, America is not appreciating us doing all of that. They're just looking at us like that same mentality of the gods must be crazy. We see a bottle of Coke and we run around with it. You understand what I mean? So we need to change our mindset, actually. And once we succeed with that, we will move up. We really haven't done enough.
Speaking of which, I think this is a conversation that we've had sometime. But when we talk about telling the Akwa Ibom story from the Akwa Ibom man's perspective. An Akwa Ibom producer, Akwa Ibom actors, and for instance, the story of Uforiban is that is usually told as the Aba women's rights.
Correct.
So it's more people know that story from the Aba end than the fact that it's actually emanated from Ikoda Bassey here. So why don't we find a way to tell our stories in our own lives? Like we're saying one time, that story will forever be lost if we do not take hold of it to tell it. And someone, I think it's Stephanie Linus,
Yeah.
what's her maiden name now? I'm forgetting, but Stephanie Linus, of course, she's a veteran in the industry. She's retelling that story again in the 21st century, but is still telling it from the About Women's Riot, perspective. And that's a problem. Most of our history will be lost for the next generation because we don't have people leveraging and telling our stories.
It's like the black man's story in America. You have a lot of black persons who have invented stuff, but because it's the black man, like they say, if you want to hide anything from a black man, put it in a book. They take it over and then they turn it to a white project. All right. So here, our people are not aggressive enough. I'm not strong in writing. I have other areas where I'm very strong besides acting. But I'm trying to drive a few young men. Let us tell our own stories. Particularly right now, my focus is on the Oron because I just discovered that we have so much. And we have to do it culturally. Nothing will be influenced. No white thing, no Western thing, very minute English, So we need to drive our own stories, typical stories, and influence other people with this stuff. Because if we don't do it, our children and our children's children will lose, the value of our culture. Like it's happening. Most of them abroad don't know anything about it. Even the ones here. I'm shocked to find children who were raised here in Akwa Ibom can't speak the language. That's the predominance of the influence of the West. The dress codes, they can't answer you. And we were raised speaking the language. I remember while in the US, my mom called one morning, and when I picked up the phone, she was like, "Oh, your auntie is here. Say hello to her." And my auntie got the phone from my mom, and she was like, "Oh, my son, what's up? How are you?" I'm like, "I like me. That's good morning, auntie. How are you doing?" She was shocked, like, "Hey, you still speak the language?" I'm good, look, I'm not a bastard. Because I'm in America doesn't mean that I shouldn't speak my language. I take pride in that. That is who I am. And even the white man appreciates you more. My English name is Michael. But I've never used it in any of my documents. So when I go there, I say, "My name is Bassey Okon, Bassey Esanetok." They're like, "Bossy? Bossy?" They like that. And then you come and say, "Michael," they look at you like, "Come on.
I really like
keep moving."
I wish we had all day to keep talking to you, but this has absolutely been fun. This has absolutely been fun. And I would like for you to give us like your final words, whatever you want to talk about, in the industry yourself. Just final words that we can go.
Final words. I'll make it quick. Love God. Stay true to Him. For the industry, let's get properly trained. Let's respect each other, keep the equity up, don't run to government, and be honest with your project to save and develop your community. Be positive-minded. I remain Bassey Okon, Esanetok. Love you guys, man.
Okay, I'm seriously thinking of putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Like, I'm seriously thinking of putting you on the spot.
You have 30 seconds. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Yeah, just, recreate a stage, scenario with your voice. Just, do something crazy.
Oh, Jesus.
Christ.
Let's go back to The Gods Are Not to Blame, or Dewale, the opening scene, where he came as the man wandering before he got into his village. Now that is eluding. Funny enough, I am Bassey Okon. I come before you, my honor, because you know me, that nobody in this village moves without the gods speaking. And if you want anybody to allow to move and the gods does not speak, by way of connection, your throne is damned. No.
There's an applause. That absolutely deserves an applause. And I'm sorry that we cannot give you more, but
thank you.
It's been one of my best days on set. I've been having fun also, and I have been raving about it. Thank you very much, Bassey Esanetok, for coming. It's been such a great delight.
You guys.
And we have learned absolutely.
Keep doing the great job, you guys.
Okay.
African Day. We are
African Day. We'll think about it.
We are not even tired of rappers again. TM now, we are
the white boys won't do their own this. They won't tire rappers for us, man.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's the much we can take right now with this particular interview. We'll go on a very quick break, and when we return, we'll be bringing you our next guest. Big things done by big people in Akwa Ibom